you got into real estate 2017-ish, you were saying, and you more or less were getting educated. So like someone who's just hearing this for the first time, like, oh, I like this concept. Like, what are some tips you can give on people to get educated?
I would say fine. I mean, you talked a lot about mentorship and things like that. And I don't think I would not have identified anyone I spoke with at the time as a mentor, but in hindsight, that's really kind of what they were doing. So in 2017, I was leaving a ship, a destroyer, a 300-person ship that I was stationed on. And that was my office. Every day I drive to it and then we'd go out to sea. But then I was switching to go work on a submarine. And when I got to my submarine in 2017, I was talking to, we'd go out to sea for a couple weeks or a couple months at a time, training to get ready to go on a 6-month deployment where we'd have plenty of time to talk. But during the initial, we call them underways, right? Time at sea, I would just, strike up conversations with some of the senior enlisted that we had or some of the other officers on board and just started hearing about how they were, buying properties like at every duty station. Like, hey, I collect them kind of as I go. So maybe if you do a 20-year career in the military, maybe you end up owning 6 or 7 houses that you live in as your primary residence first, get familiar with it, rent it out to other military families when you leave, or maybe you convert it to a short-term rental. Lots of different options, but it's a pretty cool way to kind of build wealth knowing that you're going to move a lot. Because I guess if any listeners don't know, like when you get a single family home as a primary residence, like it's going to be a lower interest rate compared to what you'd get for an investment loan and things like that. And so it's also a good way to kind of, military does a lot of things slowly but surely, I would say. And that's kind of a really, over 20 years buying 6 or 7 properties. It might sound massive at first, but it's really pretty easy to just buy a house when you move, as long as you can, work through some of the growing pains and the moving pains, rather, I guess, that come with changing jobs, moving a family and things like that in the military. Like it is hard enough to do, but you could still find ways to look out for your financial, success by doing that. So that kind of inspired me a little bit. I wasn't sure if I would stay in for 20 years or not, and just kind of already mentioned that I am not, but said, okay, at the next duty station, once I move, I'm going to buy a place